April 13, 1953, CIA Director Allan signs authorization for a covert research program, the cryptonym MKUltra. Its purpose, to develop methods of controlling human behavior. The justification, intelligence reports suggesting Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean interrogators had broken American prisoners during the Korean War. The reality, no evidence existed of enemy mind control programs. The American public was told nothing. For 20 years, MKUltra operated in complete secrecy. Universities, hospitals, and prisons became testing grounds without their knowledge. American citizens were drugged without consent. Some died. The program director, Sidney Gottlieb, would later describe his mission as finding drugs that could eliminate the will of the person examined. Sidney Gottlieb joined the CIA's Technical Services Division in 1951. He was a chemist with a background in poisons. In 1953, Dulles placed him in command of MKUltra. Gottlieb had no medical degree and no psychiatric training. He possessed administrative authority and unrestricted funding. His first major initiative, LSD. Gottlieb believed lysergic acid diethylamide could shatter a subject's grip on reality. He theorized it could be weaponized, administered covertly, to foreign officials during speeches or high-level negotiations. The drug's effects lasted hours, not days. This appealed to operational planners seeking temporary incapacitation without permanent evidence. Between 1953 and 1973, MKUltra expanded to 149 sub-projects. At least 185 researchers participated. 44 universities and colleges were involved. 12 hospitals or clinics received funding. 3 prisons became testing sites. The overwhelming majority of these institutions did not know they were participating in CIA experiments. November 19, 1953, Deep Creek Lake, Maryland. A group of CIA and Army scientists gathered for a 3-day retreat. Among them, Dr. Frank Olson, a 43-year-old bacteriologist with the Army's Special Operations Division. Olson worked on biological weapons. He held a high-level security clearance and knew details of MKUltra's interrogation research. On the second night, Sidney Gottlieb produced a bottle of Cointreau. After 20 minutes, it became clear the liqueur had been spiked with LSD. No one had been told. Olson's reaction was severe. He became agitated, paranoid, and disoriented. He forgot how to spell. Days later, he told his wife, "I've made a terrible mistake." He never explained what he meant. On November 28, 1953, Olson fell from the 13th floor of the Hotel Statler in New York City. He was pronounced dead on arrival. The CIA classified his death as suicide induced by mental illness. His family was not told about the LSD. San Francisco, 1955. MKUltra operatives established a safe house at 225 Chestnut Street in Telegraph Hill. The apartment was decorated as a bordello. Prostitutes were recruited from the Tenderloin district and placed on the CIA payroll. Their assignment, dose clients with LSD without their knowledge. George Hunter White, a federal narcotics agent, oversaw the operation. He sat behind a two-way mirror with a pitcher of martinis, observing the effects. The subjects were unaware they were being drugged. They believed they were paying for sex. Instead, they became human test subjects. Dosages ranged from 100 to 300 micrograms. Some subjects experienced violent hallucinations. At least one man jumped from a hotel window. Wayne Ritchie, a deputy U.S. Marshal, held up a bar at gunpoint after being dosed. He had no memory of why. The safe house remained operational until 1965. A second location was opened in Marin County for more elaborate experiments. CIA expense reports itemized liquor for operatives and replacement of damaged furniture. White later wrote in his diary that he was able to lie, kill, cheat, steal, rape, and pillage with the sanction and blessing of the All-Highest. No subjects were ever informed. No compensation was ever offered. Montreal, Quebec, 1957. Dr. Donald Ewan Cameron, a Scottish-born psychiatrist, was recruited by MKUltra. Cameron directed the Allan Memorial Institute at McGill University. Between 1957 and 1964, he received $69,000 from the CIA to conduct experiments. The official designation, MKUltra Subproject 68. Cameron's stated goal, to cure schizophrenia by erasing memories and reprogramming the mind. His methods, electroshock therapy, sensory deprivation, drug-induced comas lasting weeks. Patients were placed in isolation chambers. They were subjected to continuous audio loops, repeating negative statements about themselves. Sessions lasted up to 16 hours per day. Electroshock treatments were administered at voltages far exceeding standard practice. Cameron called this process psychic driving. Patients entered his care seeking treatment for mild depression or anxiety. They left with severe retrograde amnesia. Some could no longer recognize their own children. Many lost the ability to perform basic self-care. None of the subjects were informed they were part of a CIA experiment. Cameron commuted from Lake Placid, New York, each week to oversee the program. He never lived in Montreal. Federal prisons became MKUltra testing sites. Convicts were promised reduced sentences in exchange for participation. They were not told what substances they would receive. One participant later described hours of paranoia and feeling violent, blood coming out of the walls, guys turning to skeletons in front of me. Subjects experienced total loss of appetite and horrible periods of living nightmares. The experiments continued for days without medical supervision. At least 3 penal institutions participated. Their identities remain partially redacted in declassified documents. Psychiatric hospitals received covert CIA funding through front organizations. Georgetown University Medical School was given $375,000 disguised as a private donation. The true source was concealed even from university administrators. Research focused on developing substances to alter personality structure and induce shock and confusion. Documents describe efforts to create a knockout pill for covert administration. Interrogation techniques tested included induced hypnotic trances and systematic personality disassembly. June 1972, Watergate, 5 men arrested at the Democratic National Committee headquarters. Within months, the scandal threatened the entire intelligence community. CIA Director Richard Helms grew increasingly concerned about congressional investigations. In January 1973, Helms issued an order. All MKUltra files were to be destroyed immediately. Sidney Gottlieb, who had proposed the destruction, supervised the process. The stated reason: to protect relationships with outside researchers who had assisted the program. The unstated reason: to prevent public exposure of illegal human experimentation. Most CIA documents regarding MKUltra were incinerated. The destruction was deliberate and systematic. December 1974. The New York Times published an article by Seymour Hersh. It alleged the CIA had conducted illegal domestic activities, including experiments on U.S. citizens. President Gerald Ford convened the Rockefeller Commission to investigate. The commission confirmed the existence of MKUltra. It revealed that Frank Olson had been dosed with LSD 9 days before his death. In 1975, Ford personally apologized to the Olson family. The government paid them $750,000. The settlement was designed to prevent further disclosure of Olson's work. Senator Frank Church convened a separate Senate investigation. The Church Committee began searching for surviving MKUltra records. In 1977, a CIA archivist discovered 7 boxes of documents. They had been misfiled at a record center, not typically used for classified materials. The cache contained approximately 20,000 pages. Most dealt with financial transactions rather than operational details. But the financing records revealed the scope: 149 sub-projects, 185 researchers, 80 institutions. Admiral Stansfield Turner, then Director of Central Intelligence, testified before the Senate. He acknowledged the program's existence and confirmed its termination. He emphasized that the events in question had occurred 12 to 25 years earlier. He offered no apology to the unknowing subjects. The full scope of MKUltra remains unknown. Most operational records were destroyed in 1973. The 20,000 surviving pages contained financial data, not scientific results. The identities of most test subjects were never recorded. Those who were named often died before investigations began. No comprehensive list of participating institutions was ever compiled. Many universities still do not know they were involved. Frank Olson's death remains officially classified as suicide. His family disputes this conclusion. In 1994, Olson's body was exhumed for forensic examination. The pathologist found evidence inconsistent with a fall. The case remains open. Sidney Gottlieb retired in 1973. He was never charged with any crime. He moved to a remote cabin and raised goats. He ran a leper hospital in India. He died in 1999 at age 80. Richard Helms was convicted in 1977 of lying to Congress about CIA operations in Chile. He received a suspended sentence and a $2,000 fine. He remained convinced he had done the right thing by destroying the MKUltra files. Operation Midnight Climax left hundreds of dosed subjects without recourse. No victim was ever compensated. The Montreal experiments destroyed families. In 1988, the Canadian government paid $100,000 to each of 77 survivors. The CIA paid nothing. The convicts who volunteered in prison experiments received no follow-up care. Many suffered permanent psychological damage. Their names remain classified. The 20,000 surviving pages of MKUltra documents are now available through the CIA's reading room. They contain financial records, budget authorizations, and administrative correspondence. They reveal how much was spent, not what was learned. According to later CIA assessments, MKUltra produced no actionable intelligence. The quest for a truth serum failed. The effort to develop mind control techniques yielded no operational successes. Decades of illegal experimentation, hundreds of unwitting subjects, multiple deaths, all for research the CIA itself later described as unfruitful. The program violated the Nuremberg Code, which the United States had pledged to uphold after World War II. It violated domestic law prohibiting non-consensual human experimentation. It violated the CIA's charter, which forbade domestic operations. No one was imprisoned. The destruction of records in 1973 ensured a full accounting would never be possible. Questions remain. How many subjects were tested without their knowledge? How many died as a result of the experiments? Which institutions participated unknowingly, and which knew exactly what they were doing? What other sub-projects existed beyond the 149 identified in surviving financial records? Were there additional programs running in parallel that left no documentation at all? The files that would answer these questions no longer exist. They were burned in 1973 on direct orders by the man who created them.